What's up, everyone? Lance Hedrick here, and today we're going to do a live look at the Meticulous. Cue B-roll, Hugo. Cue it. Do it. Okay, nice. All right, so today we're taking a look at the Meticulous. I've had this, a Meticulous for about 2 months now. I got my first one in. It was here for about a month, and then the seal on it broke, and so water was just flowing through. And so I told Carlos, the guy who made this, the CEO of it, I said, hey, my seal's broken. I need a replacement or something. Within like 3 days, Emily Bryant was flown here with a new unit. So this is another unit. It's still V8, version 8. The final unit that will be shipped to backers is going to be version 10. And there are a lot of differences between what I have and what will be on the final version that I will go over in this video. I had a long call with Carlos the other day to hear about all of that. But today I will be critiquing specifically version 8. So just know that they will have differences. I'll go over those differences later for version 10. So any shortcomings here, we'll see, if they follow through on that version 10, if it kind of improves all of the issues that we might see here today, or might not. We'll see. I've done loads and loads of testing, loads and loads of shots. I've used the interface here to see what all it's got going for it. And there are obviously some things that need to be changed in the software in order to open up more potential in this machine. But for right now, we're going to go with as it is, because that's all I've really got to go with. All right, so today I'm using a P100 for my grinder. I've got just miscellaneous, a slew of different coffees I'm going to be throwing in. I've got the new Auto Comb from Barista Hustle, just a V3 calibrated decent tamper. I finally got the cutesy little James Hoffman dosing cup, a Kyle Lunar, but we have the Meticulous here. So we're going to go ahead and just take a look at the Meticulous in general. So this is a very unique looking espresso machine. From front to back, just this part right here is about, 4 centimeters or so, 3 centimeters. Very thin. And it's because there's no boiler inside of it. Instead, you have this head right here. The group head is heating on its own. So there's a heating band inside of here, as well as 4 probes to measure temperature. Now, these 4 probes read the temperature at 4 different spots, and they measure the differential between them, and they try to get to where there's a kind of equilibrium between the 4, and that's when it will allow the shot to start. So in the current test, in the current version, what happens is when you set your shot and you set your set temperature, the temperature you want your espresso to come out at, it will sit in here and heat the water using this heating band inside of this big thermal mass piece of aluminum. It will heat it up, heat it up, heat it up, heat it up, and once it hits equilibrium before those 4 probes, it will begin the shot. So we have this massive group head here. It's made in this version of just aluminum. It's just a solid hunk of aluminum. So there was thermal testing done. I put that in quotes because I don't think it was done rather well, but there was some testing done lately that was showing that the group was only hitting 50 even when water was coming through. There's some truth to that, but also there's a lot of issues with it because you can't just read thermal imaging on any reflective surface. It doesn't. Anyway. So what's going on is in their current model, because they were taking it to so many expos, they had set the group head temperature to 50 Celsius for its idle kind of standby. And it's because of a few things, but mainly this group head, since it's just a block of aluminum, gets incredibly hot. So if this were to be sitting at 100 and you go up and touch it, you're going to be burnt. So they had it set to 50 Celsius just as a preheating mechanism to kind of keep it around 50, 60 so that when they started their shots, it didn't take long to really get to temperature. One of the changes they're making for the next version is they're going to increase that to, they're all the way to 100, but they'll give you the ability to choose your pre-warming temperature. And the standby or like the stock will be at 100 Celsius. So another big change, I guess I'm already talking changes, which is fine. So instead of a full just block of aluminum, they're going to have a double-walled situation going on here. So you'll have the insulation inside the 2 double walls of air, which is going to allow for higher thermal stability. On top of that, it's going to be much thinner. So this is really thick right now in all aluminum. They're going to make it thinner so the reservoir is bigger. I'm not sure how much water it will be able to hold. Right now it holds, if you fill it all the way up past the chamber to where it kind of gets in this bowl area, you're getting close to like 100 grams or 100 mils of water. So they're going to make it even bigger. Hopefully we see 150, maybe even 200, depending on how much thinner they make it. But they're also going to insulate the heating band in the version 10, which is going to further help with thermal stability. The thinner walls is going to help with thermal dynamicy, so you're going to be able to more quickly make small changes in the temperature. It's going to rely more on the heat band and its efficiency of heating the water, that relationship between the heat band and the water. It's going to rely on that efficiency and how quick that should be, more than it's going to rely on thermal mass like on this one. All right, so a lot of changes are coming. Again, I meant to hold those off till later. But I do want to say, I made one video before right here, and it was a live, and it's because I got this like 2 days before the Kickstarter actually began. And I had so many people asking to give at least some thoughts before the Kickstarter began, in case people wanted to hop on and take a gamble on like an early bird special. And so I made a video where I didn't really know much about the machine. I had pulled maybe 10 shots on it, and I wanted to give an out-of-the-box experience. So there is that video where there were some bugs going on, and that was the first machine I had of this. Now I've got a second version of it, and I've had it for much longer, and the Kickstarter ends, I believe, tomorrow or Saturday. So I wanted to do a live in order to give you this. Now, I normally would make this a full polished video, but I wanted to have as long as possible before making this review, so I figured, well, we'll just do a live. It'll upload automatically, and that way I can have all the way until the day before to make a video. So thank you for joining today as we hop into all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to like pull a shot. I have here, we've got the software on my pad right here. I just got this pad online. It's a little Samsung tablet. You can use a laptop, you can use a phone, but right now it's on like a website. You have to connect to the Wi-Fi of the Meticulous. So in order for this app to work, you have to be connected to the Wi-Fi of the Meticulous. I'm not sure if that's going to be changed to some sort of app or something that connects via Bluetooth, but right now this emits a Wi-Fi signal and you connect to it on your machine. It's just called Meticulous. You type in your password and you're connected to the machine. Now that we're on here, we have a couple of things. We'll switch to the side camera so you can kind of see a little bit better. So here we go. Tell me if the reflections.
You need to open the light a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. Aha, there we go. All right, so on here we have a pre-infusion chart and an infusion chart. So what you're able to do right now is you're able to set the pre-infusion chart to either flow or pressure. So that means you're going to control it by the flow going through the group or pressure. And the same thing with infusion. You can change it flow and pressure. And then right now you have a pressure limit, so you can stop it at a specific pressure if it's a flow-based profile, or if you flip it and it's pressure-based, you can have a flow limit. And then you have a stop weight. So if it hits a certain weight, it'll move on. Now, on this side, you have also the pressure and the flow option. You have the flow or pressure limit, and then you have your overall stop weight. Now, this is just a current advanced mode for profiling. In the future iteration, supposedly they're going to make an even more advanced one where you can break it down by nodes. So it'd be more like the decent espresso machine where you can say, step 1, I want 4 mils a second, 4 mils per second, and then once it hits 3 bar of pressure, that's when I want it to move on to step 2, which is going to be controlled by pressure. I want it to hit 9 bar of pressure, and as it begins to lose pressure, I want it to do this. And so once they update the software coming forward, that's going to be in the final iteration of this machine. Right now, you don't really have the capability of doing dynamic style shots, which you can do in the decent, but you're able to still do this pre-infusion, infusion, kind of controlling that. So today I'm going to pull a few shots. I'm going to do something like a blooming espresso. I'm going to do something like a turbo shot, and I'll probably pull something like a lever style shot, just so you can get an idea of how this all works. But it's all completely doable, and again, they will be updating the software for the final version, which will be version 10. So without further ado, just for the people here who don't have a lot of time, let's go ahead. We're going to pull a blooming espresso first, and then I'm going to quickly switch the grind setting, try to do do some sort of turbo, and then we'll do maybe like a lever or something after that. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to get some water, and the first thing I'm going to do, so you can kind of see the workflow, is we have this sliding magnet right here. So all this is it's just a little magnetized piece. I don't know if this is the final version or not, but it's got a pad right here that's also a magnet so it doesn't scratch the side of the machine. You put it on the side of the machine like so. It magnetizes to the other side. Whoops, let me get it down here. Boom. and then you can move it up and down. Now this is to trap the heat inside to expedite the heating up process, so it covers the hole really nicely. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, one thing as I'm in this area, this button right here can start your shot. Now this button is eventually going to move either right beside the knob or on the side of the machine itself. They haven't decided where it's moving, but it will not be on the front any longer for aesthetic purposes. Just they didn't really like that. There will be some minor changes to the drip tray cover. They're also going to change the scale, which currently is built into the machine. It's right here. They're going to change it so it's actually modular. You can take it out and move it around, but it will be connected by a cord. You can always buy a bigger cord, a longer cord if you want to use it for more things, but it is hardwired into the machine itself. So you will have that capability. So this whole drip tray is a scale. I can put something on it like so. On here, it shows what the weight is, and you tare using this little button on the side that you can't really see in this front angle, but there's a little button on the side. All right. They're also going to be removing all the visible screws with the exception of the one under the group head and on the back for maintenance purposes. Now, for those of you asking, before I pull these shots, how this even works, because some of you may be unfamiliar, you saw I was live, you hopped on. How does this even work? So, as I said, there's a heating band in here that will heat up your water. So you can either use preheated water from a kettle that you have like an electronic base or on top of a stovetop, or you can put room temp water in here and it will heat it up on its own. It takes a little longer, but it's more than capable of doing that. Now, the way that it's creating pressure is not with a pump. So it is not using something like a vibratory pump like the decent Espresso machine has. It doesn't use a rotary vane pump like the Elite Bianca has. It doesn't use a gear pump. It uses a motor affixed to essentially a piston. So literally what you have going on is you have 3 bars. In short, you have like 3 bars. You have a bar that comes here, the actual piston part. You have the arm at the top, so like so, and then you have an arm connected to the motor. So it goes like this, all right? But my thumbs, let's imagine that they're one. It's one thumb. All right, there we go. So it's kind of like this, all right? So down here we have a motor in the back that is controlling it. Now this motor, Carlos told me, it's actually used in kind of like marine technology. So in submarines and things like that, it's used to open and close windows. And so it's very robust. It's watertight. It's completely capable of doing something as simple as this. And it can go all the way up to 13 bar of pressure at slower speed. So it's got more than enough torque capable of pushing really easily. This is one of the things that he was really stressing to me, which makes a lot of sense, is that this is going to give you an extremely long life because how simplistic of a mechanism it is. So it's literally just pushing. All right, it looks like I'm milking a cow. I'm not milking a cow. I'm pushing the piston. Okay, so we have a motor in here that's rated initially with all of the components. They originally rated it to 20,000 shots, which would be like 5.5 shots a day for I don't know, like 10 years. But now they've increased that because they changed a few of the things inside in order to make it more accessible, in order to make it easier to manufacture, and also to just improve the machine overall. Now, one of the things that I know people be worried about is pushing up to 13 bar is what about those joints? The joints are the things that are more worrisome because it might suffer over time. Well, originally, I can't remember the size pin they had that was connecting the joints, but the initial ones that they tried when they were going to high pressure were bending. So they switched to 6mm pins, which is what I have in this one. And they never experienced any bending. I've not experienced any issues with it. But just to be safe, what they did for the final version for V10 is they went all the way up to 10mm pins because they were told by their the manufacturer or the sales team, wherever they're buying the pins, that it was the same price to do 10 mils as it was to do 6. So they've upgraded that to 10 mils in order to even more so elongate the life of this piston driving system. So what this is doing is it's emulating a lever style shot. So it's pushing down with constant force just like a lever machine would. So unlike a pump driven machine, which is pumping water out, pulsating it out regardless of that pump, this one is replicating a lever. So whereas you can replicate based off of flow and the water coming out on a decent, you can replicate a lever. You can't replicate that piston type of motion. That's just an impossible replication when you're driving it with a pump. So this one is the first ever robotic lever machine. So you're going to be able to replicate all these different styles. Now they're now trying to do, thanks to Joe D, when I was talking to Carlos and brought this up, he said Joe D from the Decent community, as well as just, he's an espresso aficionado in different places. He made up the Extractamundo Dose, the Turbo Bloom, and a few other things. he had already told Carlos about this, which is fantastic. But they're now trying to implement, not trying, they will be implementing. It's just a software thing. Instead of just pressure and flow, they're going to kind of implement this idea of force. Which, in short, what this is going to allow, when you can control the force, is it's going to allow you to emulate springs and the eroding pressure and how it's reactive to the puck itself. So this force is going to allow you to even more so replicate levers. So all we need to do is get springs from well-known lever machines, measure how they are. It's a pretty simplistic equation. Measure how they are and input it into the machine for different styles. So if you have like a Londinium, you can measure the spring in an actual Londinium, and you can get the mathematical equation in order to program into here. Boom! You can replicate truly with reactive forces on that piston going down. You can replicate different springs. So the more springs that we can get the measurements on, the more you're going to be able to replicate more exactly these different levers, which is absolutely fantastic. Really cool to be able to have a reactive dynamic espresso, which again is not in this version, but I've been told it will be in the version 10. Okay, seriously, I keep saying I'm going to stop talking, we're going to pull. I am going to stop talking now, and we are going to pull. So I'm going to take some of the, well, do I have enough of this? Because I'd already dialed. Let's see. Maybe I do. Let's see. Let's see. 13.7. You know what we're going to do? We're going to do the, get out of here. We're going to do the, we're going to do this. You son of a gun. Hugo's messing with me. We're going to do the Devil's Blend. I've not tried this, but we're doing it. So, workflow. I actually went out of step because I'm so excited. Everyone's here together. We're all having fun. Yes, that's a clean port filter. So my workflow, I've already gotten this purged, but if I needed to purge it, I can click a purge button on this tab, or I can click purge right here or somewhere else. It's going to purge it, and then it will start heating whenever you purge that. So now I need to put water in. Now, something else exciting about this machine is it allows you to do different water chemistries every single time. Because you're not filling a boiler, you're not going to be worried about scale buildup. That's not an issue here. So, you know, because now people like to create small batches of water with various different salts and different things like that, you're going to be able to do like a super high bicarbonate, high buffer style situation, so you can really buffer out a lot of the acidity, low hardness, low general hardness, or you can do like a really high hardness espresso without really fearing of scale buildup, because it's just this that's going in. So anyway, a workflow thing. I will start with my water like so. I'm going to fill this. And it's always better to overfill your water. There is a dip in temperature if you have a lower water volume at the end of your shot. So it's always better whenever you have more water volume in there. You're going to just have more consistent thermal stability throughout the shot of espresso. So overdoing the amount of water is a good thing when it comes to your thermal dynamics. But if you want that shot to dip in temperature, you can always do exactly the amount you need or something like that. All right, so I have it filled with water. Now I'm going to go ahead, and it's heating already because I hit that purge. So at purge, it starts heating automatically. So this is heating up to 89. So I'm at 51. I put in room temp water. So in my workflow is I use just room temp water. It's just easy. I'm going to let that heat up. While it's heating up, I'm going to go ahead and do a little squirt. Bop, 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 bop. We're going to get it here. There we are. Oh, I actually need to pick. There we go. Whoops. There we go. Okay, cool. So I'll be pulling a blooming espresso right now. So I have programmed on here is I have 4 mils a second for about 15 seconds, and then I'm dropping to no mils a second for the remainder of 45 seconds, so 30 seconds of blooming of no mils per second. And then I have it switching to 2.5 mils a second for the duration of the shot. Uh-oh, we're getting close to this. I was going to put a bottom paper filter, but I'm running out of time. So right now, the shot is just going to start immediately right when it hits temperature. On the final production version, they're going to give you the capability of choosing when you want this shot to start. Do you want it immediate, or do you want to do it on command? All right. So they're gonna add that as an offering on that final one. But right now it just starts immediately when it's ready. So I got to put this in. Yeah, we're at 83. I got to move quick. All right. There we go. I caught up. All right, we're at 84. All right, so yeah, so I'm doing blooming, so it should start with a 4 mils a second. It's going to saturate the puck. Maybe a few drips will come through. It'll go down to like nothing. They've been able to measure down to 0.02 mils a second. They don't measure it by linear displacement. They have a much more accurate way of reading the flow rate coming out, and they've been able to get down to that resolution, according to them, of course. So we're at 88.3. Once we hit 89, this will start. The piston's going to retract. It's going to open the seal to allow water to flood the chamber, and then it's going to start going down after it floods that chamber. So here we go. All right, let's switch to a side angle. So I need to go to the monitor. So what you're going to see here, let's see, there we go. All right, so we've retracted the piston, and now it's starting to go down. So we see the flow is beginning now. It always shows that it's starting up higher, and for whatever reason, it's showing at 8. There we go. It's going back down now. There we go. All right. Oh, you know what happened is I had another profile in. I think I reloaded it too quickly. Yep, that's what happened. Oh, no, what happened is I toggled it. This is supposed to say flow, and it's still on pressure. That's my fault. When I was talking, I just messed up, but it's all good. We'll pull another blooming here in a second. So it is still doing the bloom. I just messed up on when I was showing you how it can toggle. I toggled it to pressure when it was supposed to be on flow. That's my fault. I messed it up. Yeah, so we're going to have to re-pull this shot because I was talking too much. Yes. Yeah, I'm using the auto comb. Someone was asking in the chat about that. So I'm letting this finish out just so I don't have a soupy putt, but I'm going to pull one more, and I'm going to make sure I actually have the correct settings on here. So we're going to let that shot finish up, and then I'll actually pull a blooming. Yeah, I have that switch to pressure like a dum-dum. All right, come on. We'll go back to flow.
You want me to make questions that people are asking on the chat?
Sure.
And they're asking about the burrs on the grinder.
The burrs on the grinder. This has the HU high uniformity burrs.
And why you didn't use WDT?
I did use WDT. I used the auto comb.
And no paper filter.
I was running out of time and did not put a paper filter. So, it's now purging. I took this drink away when it recognizes the drink's off. It will purge it. So I pulled this off, and now it's purging the rest of the water out. So like a Flare 58, there is excess water in the reservoir, and they have to push it. You have to push it the rest of the way out. So now that that's all out, the pressure is still at 1 bar. I'm going to let it dissipate. But what you can already do, which I will do, is I found that as it's purging or pushing it out, obviously the seal is completed. You can go ahead and fill your chamber. So for a fast workflow of back-to-back shots, as it's purging, you can go ahead and fill your chamber. There's still leftover heat from your previous shot. It'll go ahead and start heating your water. Then when it's done purging and you remove the portafilter, you can hit heat up because it's already done purging. So I'm going to go ahead and get some more water. Let me just fill this up real quick. And we'll start another shot, and I will actually use the correct profile instead of not using the correct profile. All right. So yes, now since I'm not worried about scale buildup or anything like that, you're able to just use any type of water in here, really. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. We did 10 drops of, just to kind of showcase, we did 10 drops of calcium chloride just for the heck of it. That's 100 ppm. I have about 600 in here, so that's about 75 ppm of that. All right, and we put about 50 ppm of potassium bicarbonate in there. So you can go as hard as you want. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, the longer you do it and the longer you let it stand there, mineral deposits can form. But since you don't have a big boiler, you're not as worried about things like that. I don't know why I just put this on the stand. I'm not making a pour over. All right, so I can go ahead, put this in here. Now, before I hit preheat, I'm going to make sure I have the right profile up because last time I did not. All right, so we're putting that there. Let's make sure my profile's correct. 4 mils a second, cut off there. Oh, nope. See, I already cut off there. Now that's going to go 2 mils a second. Stop weight is 5. Pressure limit's 4. Flow limit, aha. So that's still showing. There we go. There we go. Pressure limit's 9. There it is. That was the issue there. Okay. So we got all that. We're good. Now I'm going to hit heat. Boop. So it's going to start heating up. While that is heating up, there it says heating. Perfect. Now we'll go ahead and get everything else ready. So I'm going to take, this time I have time to do a little paper filter action. Get the little spray. Boop, 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 boop. All right.
Can I remove the others?
No, it's fine.
The glasses?
Sure. Actually, sure. Yeah. All right. So we've got that. Now I'm going to weigh out some coffee. I'm going to go a little finer because I suspect this coffee is going to go finer. Reason of Poland's Gold. These are 2 washed Ethiopias I just blended. 18 grams. What temp are we at? Oh, we're at 56. We're golden on time. We are not what you think we are. We are golden. We are gold.
Don't sing.
I'm singing, Hugo.
If you sing, you can be blocked.
Ah.
Remember.
I can?
Yes.
For singing?
Yes. Because of the...
Mika wouldn't block me. Ugh. Hate when beans get caught on that little thing in the frickin' P100. Alright, so we got this. We're going. I got the paper filter in here already. Let's get a little mesh screen. We're going over the top here.
About the portafilter. You already sent?
So we've got, we're at 71 here. We're getting the rest of the coffee out here. All right, we're going to set this up here. Boop, 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 boop. All right, just do a little swirly swirl. Put this here. Yum, yum. Little auto comb. Boop. Make sure it's all the way down. Yep. 1. There it is. Money. Look how fast that is. I love it. Putting that there. Tampy tubes. Tampy 2 shoes. Bop. Screen. Lock and load. Bang. So something else that they're going to be changing for the next version is right now there's a stop that stops you from pulling this in. Now it's because you have 2 kind of slowly increasing diagonal slots that get smaller as you go up, more narrow, so that there's that that was perfect timing, eh? Look at that. So I guess we'll switch to the side camera real quick. You can kind of watch it this time. All right. Whoop, there we go. All right, so it retracted the piston. Now it starts. We're going to see here the flow. There we go. So it's right there at 4 mils a second. It's going. The pressure is slowly rising, but this 4 mils is going to stop at about 15 seconds or so. There we go. Drops down. It had a pressure limit on it, so it stopped the flow earlier because we hit 4 bar. So that was the pressure limit. It stopped that early. So we're at 4 bar, and it's slowly decreasing because we're at 0 flow.
A little bit towards you so we can see the actual shot. Yeah.
So there we go. All right, so we're measuring the temperature down here with those 4 probes. So it has some noise, but they put that little equilibrium line so that you can kind of see where it's at. The pressure is still decreasing because we still have no flow. But here in a little bit, we're going to start to reintroduce the flow. We're about, it was 5 grams of weight. That's my move on as well. So, but it actually hit perfectly. 5 grams was right when it needed to be there. We shot up to 9 bar, which was my limit on the flow. I said 2.5 grams a second, but a 9 bar limit. So we've stopped. We're at about 1 gram of flow right here, and we're going until a stop weight of about 45, I believe. So right now the weight is also showing up here, but on the pad we're at 29, 32, 34. 36. It'll stop here in a little bit. Now I have noticed it does overshoot a bit, and that's something else they should be working out with the final version. But there we go. All right. So our final graphs right there, as you can see, we have the flow stopped earlier than the program flow because I have a move on if it hits 4 bar. And then we have a reintroduction of flow right at the end of 5 gram, which was my move on, but it was also at the end of the time. And then we have the pressure went up to 9. Anyway, that's blooming. We have blooming espresso, so we're going to give that a little taste. Overall, the time was, let's see, where was it at? I think it was about 50. It reset since I pulled this off. But anyway, let's give this a little taste. All right. Little washed Ethiopia blooming spro. Probably yeeted that at like 27% if we're being honest. It's actually dialed in pretty well. That was a good Blind dial. Daggum. Nice, nice, nice. Let's see. Okay, cool. I'm just looking through to make sure I'm not missing any big questions. All right. Very nice. Okay. So, again, workflow-wise, right when I pull this shot, I could have easily, since it's already purged, well, it hasn't purged yet, so I can make it purge by clicking the button on here or clicking the button here to purge it. So now it's purging out the liquid. Boom, here's the purge. As it's purging, I can go ahead and fill up my next kettle worth. I can go ahead and fill this up. Boom. Since there's already latent heat, there's heat already in that chamber. It's going to start heating it minimally. It's not in the heating phase though, because I've not started another shot. So as the pressure is dissipating from the portafilter, I can go ahead and I'm going to switch my shot to a turbo. So on this turbo, I have a high flow for an early fill, and I have the pressure limit at 4.5 and a stop weight at 1 gram, so that if it's going too much, it'll stop and move on. So anyway, we have that, and then there's there's a little bit of like glitch or bugs inside the software. So whenever I save a profile, sometimes what I've saved has changed, and it's always like on the pressure on the full infusion part, it kind of moves around. Let me change this to pressure as well, because that's showing flow. I wanted as pressure. There we go. So we have 6 bar pressure. Stop weight is 51. So I'm gonna do a 17 gram shot. Let me coarsen this up to about here. All right. So while this is going, I'm gonna go ahead and hit heat. So we're at 80. I'm just gonna keep it at 89 Celsius. We're gonna. Oh, I hit purge. That was dumb. Okay, it's already purged. Go. So now it's starting to heat. We're gonna just take that same coffee. Do 17 grams this time. Little turbo style. So I can pull this out. The pressure is dissipated down to 4 bar. Good to go. I'm gonna pop out the screen. There we go. Out the puck. Little wipey do. Wipey flu. Alright. Get a little puck paper filter for the bottom. Alright. Man, I'm really feeling like singing. But you know, I don't want to get kicked off YouTube Live because I probably sound just like the artist, honestly. I probably sound just like Mika. You know? I probably do. That's just long and short of it. I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Alright.
Can I take the espresso out?
No. It's mine. I'm drinking it forever. Don't tell Dad. Nice. P100. I have a lot of thoughts on it. They'll be coming soon to a review near you. I'll tell you one thing. I hate this. I'll tell you that right now. I hate it. That's what I'm telling you. I hate this little tumbler thing. I wish I had the original. Apparently I do somewhere. The person I bought it from apparently sent it, but I don't know where. Wow, I love the auto comb. I'm just saying it. I'm just saying thoughts today, and you're just gonna you're gonna hear them. All right, we got the screen on top. Ooh, that's perfect timing. It's about to go. All right, turbo time. It's turbo time. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Jingle all the way. Anyone? Yes, no, yes, mo. Sinbad's in it as well. I'm a little mess over here. I'm a little messy boy. I gotta clean up. So I've gotta find a rag and make it all up to snuff. Okay. Making a mess. All right, so here we are. All right. So we're hitting up with a high flow to begin with. I'm up to, what is that? 12 mils a second. Fast fill. Fast fill. All right, and now we're up to 6 bar, and we're going through with it. Oh, yeah, yeeting real nice. We're yeeting real nice. We're at about... All right, it's almost done. I could go a little coarser in this. That's a 25-second shot. But it is what it is. We got it in 25. I should have yeeted it even faster, but it's okay. So that's how it looks. Again, there's some dribbles with that excess pressure because it's a piston. It needs to suck up immediately once it hits the target pressure, because I'd create a vacuum and it'd be done. Hopefully that'll be something that they include in the new version. But as for now, it's not doing that. So I'm not going to pull another turbo. You get the idea. It hit 6 bar for that whole time. You see on the graph. Let's see if I get no reflection. There we go. You see on the graph, it hit the 6 bar, no problem. Well, yeah, it's over here. Over here is the flow, so it started at 12 mils a second, and then I had it hit straight into the 6 bar after it filled up at 12 mils a second for that fast fill, and then we hit really low flow in order to maintain the 6 bar. Then it shot up as the flow was increasing, the puck was eroding. So we got nice, whoops, there we go. We got that going on there. All right, so again, just for workflow's sake, I'm going to go ahead and show you once more. I'm going to pull a second turbo. I am going to loosen it up. So as it's going down, I'm going to go ahead and start filling. Because obviously as it's purging out, as it's pushing that stuff out, there's got to be a seal created. If there's not a seal created, it wouldn't be able to push that stuff out. It'd just be, it'd be stupid. I'm going to go ahead and hit go to heat it up. So it's starting to heat. I'm going to go a little coarser here. All right, so we got that little coarser. Now we're going to really yeet this. I'm still going to take a sip of that, but we're going to really yeet it this time. All right. So we're going to 17 grams. There it is. Hugo wants to steal my Spro. He doesn't want me to OD on caffeine. That's kind of lame. All right, so we got that. Boom. We'll go ahead and take this out. We're down to 0.4 bar of pressure. That's remaining there. Residual pressure. There we go. There it is. Go. Push this all in there. So we're heating that up. It's at 55. Knocker, knocker, knocker. Take that out. Put that here. Oh, shnikes. Also hate this magnetized top. Oh, my hatred for this tumbler knows no end. Also, a lot of times that bottom magnet's too strong and it pulls my VST out. And I'm like, WTF, bruh. Then we're going to put this in and just boom. Boom, we're done. Look at that. WDT to the extreme. Tamp that in. Bang, bang, bong. New puck screen. Drop that in all day long. And we're at 60 degrees. But we're almost there. Got another cup. Boom, boom. And that's the workflow for you. I just beat the rush, okay? But yeah, right when you're done purging, you just immediately can hit purge, start filling it. It'll finish purging. You can hit heat up, and you can go bang, 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 bang. So here we go. All right, let me wipe this down again because I am making a little bit of a mess. I'm going too fast to stay clean. All right. All right, we got some water over here. Got a little sprays. There we go. All right. So I just saw someone made a question, why not dry paper filter on the bottom? These filters are a little too big for the basket, so I'm making sure that they're down all the way. I have pre-cut ones that are perfect size, but when I have already cut ones that I've cut myself, it's hard for me to open a brand new pack, so I'm not gonna. So I'm just squirting it down, make sure it's nice and seated against the bottom. Also, I don't want needles to hit it. You can change the height on these needles, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to hit anything. So on here, you'll also notice, oh, this is why it's going slow. I didn't push that down after I filled. That's why it's taken so long to heat up. It already jumped 3 degrees since I put that down. This is a critical addition that they made after their first couple versions. It heats up so much faster. So this would have already been pulling had I had that down. We just jumped now 6 degrees, 7 degrees, and it'll start in 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, I said boom. It's at 88.6. There we go. So we are retracting the piston, retracting. The water's filling the chamber. Someone said it'd be better if I had a tank. I actually very much disagree. I absolutely love this because it won't hold you back from whatever water chemistry you're wanting to throw at your puck. So we're filling it with that high 12 mils a second. Now it's going down to stabilize at 6 bar, which is hitting about a... oh, here we go. Yeah, this is a fast one. I got a little channel shooting out the side, but this is going to be a proper turbo. This will be a proper turby. There we go. 19 seconds. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. 19 seconds. Very nice. All right. I did have a nice little channel shoot out the side, but, you know, Po body's nerfed. Am I right? All right. So we've retracted the piston. I'm going to put this here to catch the purge. We're going to purge it. And then again, all you got to do is, as it's purging, fill it up with your next water. Then just make sure to place this back down, and it's already heating up for your next one with the latent heat, the residual heat. And then, bada bing, bada boom, you hit heat up, starts heating. You take the port filter out, tap, tap, fill. You're good to go. Again, you're going to... you wouldn't have this time if you set the group head to preheat to 100 because it would already be too hot. Then you could hit it to, as I said, one of the changes they're going to make, get this rag out of the way. One of the changes they're going to make is they're going to have the capability of telling your machine to start immediately upon heating up. Or if you want to wait an extra 5 seconds, you can have a confirmed start, and that's going to give you even better thermal stability because they're doing right when it hits an equilibrium, right when the differential hits an equilibrium with those 4 probes, they immediately tell the machine, time to start, let's go. But what they're going to be doing is in this new version, they're going to allow you to let it sit there even after it's hit equilibrium for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever. But about 5 seconds will be more than enough time to hit perfect, not perfect, but really, really good stability and that thermal equilibrium there. So let me wipe this spoon off. Stir this new giant right here. Take a little sip. Oh, that is so much better than the blooming shot. This tastes like Tang. You know that Tang? What was their saying from that commercial with the chimpanzees? Tang. Tang. You want a sip? This guy. Okay, so that's kind of the workflow of it. You can get really quick doing back-to-back shots with this. Now, if you have the preheat set to 100, it'll be even quicker, obviously. But you'll need to use the confirm. So, in fact, on those, I would probably just go ahead, get the puck ready, then hit go because it's going to heat up almost immediately. This is a good shot. I want this. It's like citrus oil. It's very oily, actually. Oh yeah. Very nice. All right. Astronaut Drink Tang. That's right. Oh, I miss Tang. That stuff, like, rocked. All right. So, let me see. I have notes because I want to make sure I hit everything. So, we talked about the scale. We talked about the button. We talked about... Oh, in the final version, this version is powder-coated. In the final version, it'll be anodized, which is actually really great because whenever you have boiling water up here on the powder, it can kind of flake off a bit. So, on the final one, it'll be anodized. You won't have to worry about that at all. I talked about the screws. Currently, there's like a final click when the piston hits all the way to the bottom. They've taken that click out on the final version. I was talking earlier about how there's a manual stop. There's you can't get past whenever you're pulling the portafilter in. A lot of people complained about that. What they did is they made it just stop with a metal once it hit horizontal. So what they're going to do is they're going to allow you to keep pulling. So as the gasket wear, you can continue to get tighter and tighter in there. Let's see. We talked about the configuring of the heating. I talked about the advanced mode and how you'll be able to change every single node to where it's like, once it hits this, move on. Once it hits this, move on. And you can have a 40-step shot of espresso if you wanted. You don't have to. They'll also have a beginner mode, which will give you essentially you can choose like a graph that says blooming and then 9 bar, and you can just put those together and it's going to give you a blooming 9 bar shot without you having to faff around. And that'll actually be available on this screen right here as well as on the app itself. So it'll be like hyper visual. Let's see. So in the new one, they also will have a water detection sensor inside as well as the 4 probes. They're going to move the 4 probes down a bit. They noticed that it was skewing the temperature reading when the probes were a bit higher. So they have the probes going down a little further, and they have the water level so they can always know how much water is in there, which can then inform the algorithm reading the water temp differential in order to give you more accurate water temperature readings. So we talked about the motor. We talked about talked about the pins. We talked about the new software. Something else is there will be there's going to be manual shots using this. So what that means is you'll be able to first you'll be able to manually just create a shot, kind of like on my the Lance Breville dual boiler, where you had the little rotary knob, or like on a Slayer modded Breville dual boiler, you can control it. You'll be able to control your shot with this knob. Now this knob feels almost identical to a knob on a fellow kettle, so that's kind of the feeling of it. It's pretty nice, has little soft clicks in there, but you'll be able to control either the flow or the pressure using this. Now they will also give you the capability of overriding. Now an idea I actually gave him while we were talking, because I was asking how you would like tell the machine, okay, it's time to override it, is they may use this button that's here that will be on the side. That button will signify override time, and then you can override with either flow or pressure depending on the recipe you have selected, and you'll be able to override it using the knob. So that's kind of a fun little thing there. We got okay. Now I think we're going to get to. I'm going to do some thermal testing. Yeah. Let's do some thermal testing, and then I'm going to talk about the fears a lot of people have on this being Kickstarter, because I think that's a nice thing to talk about, actually. All right, so we have this. I'm moving this out of the way. I'm going to put these over here. All right. Let me pull this out. I'm going to go ahead, lift, get water going so it can start heating up. All right, so we're going here. I'm going to go ahead and click. So this should be at 89 degrees when this starts, when this shot starts. All right. All right. Beep, boop. Pull this out. All right. I'm just going to put this over here. Don't need it anymore. I'm going to take... we'll do this case for right now. So again, let me be clear. This is version 8, and some of the biggest changes coming to version 10 will be the... Some of the biggest versions come to version 10 will be surrounding the group head. So it's going from a straight up aluminum block to a double walled, highly insulated, thinner material that will be more dynamic in its temperature responsiveness. Also, this group is a little cold, or the group's not cold. Sorry, the mother father. What is going on? The basket's a little cold, which is where the thermoprobe is housed. But anyway, so this first one may initially be a little low, but it'll raise pretty quickly. All right, so we're going to do this. We'll have it here in a second. We'll turn it to the side camera once it hits full temperature. All right, so I'm going to see what it says on the tablet as I'm reading the SCASE device. So right now it should be hitting 89. Again, this is going to go through a lot of changes. They're going to increase the thermal capabilities en masse. But I thought it would be fair to you all to at least have an idea of what it's sitting at currently. Because yeah, you never know what the final is going to be. But yeah, so we're going to do, this is an unheated basket. We have the thing down, so everything's good. We're at 75 degrees, so it should hit 80 here in a bit. The current probe reading is 34. It's going up slightly. So initially it may be a little low, but here we're going. Yep, we're already on the side view. Perfect. And actually, I'm going to get like a cup to catch this water so it doesn't splash everywhere being in that. All right. Okay. So we have the SCASE, and we have that. There we go. There we go. That's good. All right, so we'll see the temperature on here as well, and I'll let you know what the temperature says on the pad and what it says on the fluke, because that'll give us an indication of how good those probes are inside, if they're reading something similar or not. So on the fluke, we're getting... Oh, that was just raising the piston, sorry. I was getting confused. Here we go. So let's see. On the fluke, we're at 82, 83, 83. And the probes inside the chamber are reading 88, 89-ish. 89. So we're at 83.7. And inside the probes are at 88.3. We're at 83.7, 88.1, 83.6, 88.1, 83.8, 88.1, 83.7, 88.1, 83.7, 88.1. All right, so there's about a 4.5 degree temperature differential, at least going from a cold basket, a cold probe. We can run another one real quick. It's super easy. We just have to hit purge. And we're going to allow it to go again. Just go ahead and fill it so I can go ahead and start heating up immediately. Actually, we're going to fill it up even more because we know that the temperature can dip at the end with less water. There we go. We'll just run into that cup. There's enough room in there. All right, so, and this will be better because we have the temperature of the probe is already at 84, so we're going to be able to get a bit better reading on that. So, all right, so we're back on this. Heat up. There we go. All right. This is just leftover. The water coming out now is leftover water after it pushed through. So actually what I can do, I can, I need to just do this. Let me actually dump this. All right. There we go. Okay. Here we are. Now, there we go. So the residual water is stopped. There's this little nipple on the bottom that really restricts the flow coming out. So when it purged, there was a lot of it still working through based off the residual pressure inside the machine itself or inside the group. So here we go. All right. We're heating up. We're at 60 degrees, whatever. All right. So we're going to do this one real quick. And then I was going to do the TPD from Passato. But I'm probably not going to do that and get really granular with the testing because I don't think it's really that helpful, especially because they've already confirmed changes in their final version. And so what it can do now doesn't mean anything because they've already confirmed the changes in the group. So actually, technically, it could get worse. Or it could get better, but what we know is it won't be the same. So this is just to show you proof of where they're at now, which so far is showing about a 4.5 degree temperature differential at 89 degrees, which is not that big of a deal because it's staying stable. So it's just like on E61 machines, you set a boiler to group temperature differential. And so in the same way, you could just, understand there's a differential here. What Carlos has told me though, is that shouldn't be an issue in the final version because of their moving of the temp probes. Like I said, they said that it's reading a little high right now because they're higher up in the chamber. Once they move them down, it should give you a more accurate reading. I've also shoved a thermoprobe inside the chamber as it's heating up, and obviously because there's the machine has 4 probes and I'm just using one, it does read different to what the equilibrium temperature is showing. And it's obviously going to show more because it's reading it before it goes through the puck itself. So there's a lot of different things like that going on. But anyway, here we go. The piston's about to retract. So we're getting to that side angle again. Make sure we have that visible. And then there's the temperature. And I'm just going to read them both as we go along, just in case you can't see them. All right. Here we go. So we've got the pistons retracting. There we go. And here we go. So on the Fluke, we have 84.5, 84, 83.9. It's going down a bit. 83.8. But on the machine, it says 88.9. 83.9 on the Fluke. 89 on the machine. 84.1, 84.2, 84.3. The other says 88.6, 84.3, 88.1, 84.2, 87.9, 84.3, 87.9, 84.2, 87.9, 84.3, 87.9, 84.4, and there you go. All right, so that time was closer to 3 degree differential. So very, very stable throughout the shot. The only issue is obviously that differential, which again is an easy thing to fix. That's mostly a software thing. You should be able to fix it in its current state with a simple update. So even on this version, where the stability is not near where they're wanting it, the biggest issue is just the differential, which to me is not that big of a deal. So when we're looking at this, there are a lot of things that are coming in the final version that are going to help improve the stability, help improve the control, the granularity and control, help improve all these different things. Of course, this is an unproven product in the sense that it is still in a Kickstarter phase. We have a proven prototype, but there's a lot of changes that are coming. Again, they're taking screws out, they're making it more accessible in the back, they're potentially upgrading some of the parts inside to make it easier for manufacturing purposes, but also to improve the quality of it. They have they're upgrading, the pins and the different things to ensure a longer lifespan. But in the end, what you have is something that is on Kickstarter. So I can't tell you whether or not to keep your Kickstarter pledge. I can't tell you whether or not you need to pledge to this. What I can tell you is dealing with the history Carlos has had on Kickstarter. This has been a highly speculated topic on a lot of forums online because Carlos has been a part of a lot of different Kickstarters. The majority of them have succeeded and they've sent out, but there was one that has called a lot of attention lately, and that is his Phantom chessboard that he was a part of a few years back, right before COVID began. And that shipment has still not been shipped out. Now, when I talked to Carlos, I asked, what happened there. And so this is coming from Carlos, so of course take it how you will. But what my information from Carlos is that he actually left the company due to differences with the partner at the time, well, that we won't get into. But there were differences there, and Carlos left the company in November of 2021, and it was completely official in January of 2022. COVID obviously gave a lot of setbacks to the project, but Carlos's main job there was he was designing. He was not part of engineering, not part of scaling, not part of manufacturing. But that being all said, he said in a very kind way, he said, even if I was still there though, even if I stayed, I don't think I would have done any better of a job to get those out. They are still working to get those chessboards out. In fact, his old partner is currently in China working on manufacturing and getting the production all lined up in order to fulfill those Kickstarters. So it's not a failed Kickstarter in the sense that it's not coming to fruition. It's just a really, really delayed one because it was a very intense type of thing to go through. They didn't really have a working prototype before launching the Kickstarter. So he told me every lesson he learned in that Kickstarter, he has applied to the Meticulous. So they had a working prototype before launching Kickstarter. They did a lot of, there was a lot of funds put into this before they ever launched the Kickstarter. And they're going to have a post-Kickstarter fundraiser in order to kind of just get a final bit of funds pushing forward to their goal of releasing, I believe, in something like December. Now, a really cool thing that he has offered is if you have your pledge right now, and you are like, oh no, I have like 48 hours or 24 hours in order to make my decision. You don't actually have to do that before the Kickstarter ends. He has said that you can cancel your pledge any time between now and when the units will be shipped out, and you can have your full refund. So don't be worried if you're like, I need more than 24 hours to think about this. I need, a week to think about this, 2 weeks, a month. You have time between now and when the units will ship out to cancel and receive a full refund of your pledge. I thought that was a really cool move. Of course, you're still gambling. That does not take the gamble off of you, because if you choose not to and it ships and it's crap, you're SOL, as they say. So, but that is, I thought that was a nice thing that he was telling me about. But I just wanted to kind of give you at least his side of the whole Kickstarter conundrum, because that is something I've seen a lot of speculation on, sometimes unfair, levies of accusations, etc. So just know that even the Phantom chessboard is being shipped out. He has been a part of he has been away from the project for a couple of years now, but even he says it was such a difficult project with COVID and with all of the different restrictions that levied, with the difficulty and the intensity of the project, he just doesn't think even if he was there, it would have gone any faster. So I appreciate the honesty from him. I wanted to relay that to you in this because I think it's an important thing to discuss, because that does obviously affect the gamble that is inherent in Kickstarter. You can't help but think about the ZPM that was kickstarted a few years back prior to the Decent, that inspired the Decent, that James Hoffman made a great video on. You can't help but think of that whenever you're looking at these new ambitious machines. And now that this has the title of like potentially the biggest Kickstarter ever on a food-related appliance, there's that fear. But personally, with my conversations with Carlos, with what I have seen him do in the EAF Discord, with how attentive he has been to all of the different questions, the hesitations, the concerns, the amount of attention he's just given people in general and their concerns and whims and everything about this machine, gives me a lot of confidence. It's similar to how Vel from Zerno does the same thing in EAF on the Espresso Aficionado Discord. Just listening to all this constant feedback. Things like that give me a lot of faith. Maybe that's, me being airheaded, maybe that's me being gullible, but when I see someone as public as that, really trying to make all these different stances for people who a lot of times are very difficult people, I think that's an incredible sign of faith. It's a sign of faith that I, for one, might be a sucker for. So I personally think this will be a successful Kickstarter. I think it's a really unique machine, and at the price point of I think it's $1,500 will be retail or something. I think Kickstarter's maybe like $1,200, $1,300. I think this is going to be a great machine. I am very much looking forward to having a final version. I will be getting one. I'm looking forward to having a final version where I can just replicate, especially when they have that force kind of integrated that I was telling you about. I think that this will be fantastic to be able to replicate things like a Lindenium profile, a a Mina profile. We can go back to my, my old vintage levers. As long as we have some sort of understanding of that spring mechanism, we're going to be able to replicate that. You can replicate E61s, you can replicate blooming, you can do all of these things. Now, the one major thing that I need to point out that is missing from this is because you are adding the water, you're never going to have the insane granular temperature control that the Decent has, because the Decent adds cold water with hot water prior to going in the group. So you can do massively declining temperature profiling that this is not capable of doing, because this is relying on a heat band and that's it. There's no way to cool the water back down. You can turn the heat band off, sure, but how much is that actually going to drop in a 100 milliliter shot? Not that much. So while you might be able to have minorly descending temperature profiles, you're never going to have that control that something like the Decent currently affords. There's nothing else that gives you that control like the Decent currently has. So that is something to take into account when you're thinking about this versus the Decent. The Decent also has a steam wand. This one is coming with a Meticulous milk, which Emily Bryant, at least was in the chat earlier, should be doing a review on that. I'm sure she now is working kind of with Meticulous and will be able to provide more information on that. I don't have any information on it. I don't have one. So I can't tell you about that. I know I'm looking forward to trying one out maybe at some point, as well as the Nano Foamer Pro. But I think you're now at a better place than ever when it comes to side steaming. The Nano Foamers, the Nano Foamer Pro, this Meticulous Milk, as well as just using like a French press or something like that. You're able to get great texture without necessitating a steam wand, a separate boiler, all these different things. You don't really need that anymore, which I think is really great. You can more so focus on something like this. So yeah, I'm excited about the potential of this as we go into the future. Let me put this away as we wrap up. I'm excited to see the final UI. I'm excited to see the final product with all the different changes that are planned. But yeah, I think that is about it for today. I'm going to do a quick scroll through the comments to see if there's anything I need to show. Let's see. Let's see. All right, I see that people are arguing about whether or not it should be called a lever machine, but it is what it is. It's obviously not a lever machine, but I get why it's grouped with levers because of workflows. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Now, yes, I will say, in defense of what Dennis is saying, Dennis is arguing against calling it a lever, and that should be piston-driven. In defense, I do understand that, especially in its current iteration. I think, like, whenever I'm using a Cremina and I'm actually feeling that tension, I'm able to respond with my own feeling. That is a completely different experience to this. Now, it's different than, like, you can replicate an E61 with flow control on this, no problem, because you're not really feeling anything with the E61. You're responding to what's going on, but you can respond with something like this, no problem. But when it comes to direct levers like the Cremina, like the Flare, like the Pavoni, all these different things, there is a different feeling going on. That being said, they are both technically piston driven, even with the levers. And so technically, the mechanics going on are more identical to a lever machine than a typical espresso machine. But yes, it is technically a piston. Now, personally, I find this a striking machine. I think it looks nice, and I absolutely love, just to give you a better idea, I absolutely love how thin it is right here. It's very, very thin. There's this little ledge on the back, which, is fine. I do wish that you could more so integrate the plug into the machine so that maybe there was a line here, the cord could come in so that, you could put it fully against the wall. I think that would be really nice. But so, I think it's really cool how narrow it is, which you're allowed to do since there's no boiler on it. But yeah, I'm excited about the future of this, how it's going to be turning out. But yeah, okay, I think that's everything. Wait, there was one more thing I was going to say. What was it? What was it? What was it? I cannot think about it. What was it? What was it? Oh, it was this. There you go, you suckers. All right, so I think that's is this why my only espresso machine will be missing anything in terms of style and quality of shots compared to Decent and more traditional Marzocco Micra. If they come through with all of that they've promised, I don't think you will be missing anything in terms of quality of shot. No, of course that is relying. This is a Kickstarter. We can't know, so you're relying on all of that in order to see it through. But yeah, I don't think so personally with my experience with it and how it's moving forward, but I can't really know. One thing I did mean to bring up is they are playing around with the matrix screen on this. Because I only had this 8 weeks, I've not played with this. I didn't want to introduce a new variable into the flow when I only had 8 weeks. I wanted to do it with a stock screen and not overcomplicate things with something like the matrix. The matrix is a bunch of bits of metal that have been pressed together, so you more so get a stream out the middle of water, which and it also takes a little bit of pressure to push the water through. So it gives you a different dynamic in the shot. But yeah, I can't really speak much to that because I made the conscious decision to not add a variable when I only had 8 weeks to really get to know this machine, especially with everything else going on. So I did want to bring that up. And now I think that we are done for real. I don't even like coffee. This guy is a nut. Bruh. Y'all didn't know I could do that, did ya? Y'all didn't know I could even do that. We put the arms down here. I learned that from Step Up. You got served, bruh. Okay. So, I think that's about it for real. Hugo, come on the camera and say goodbye to our friends. Everyone, no, get over here. Everyone loves you. The camera loves you, Hugo.
Bye.
He doesn't like you all very much. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it for real. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, a lot of people are saying they'd rather see other people pay for these and wait till this is a proven concept. And I would probably do the same, personally. But yeah, because it's like, is it $300 kind of worth it or whatever the discount is? But I am optimistic about it. I am biased though because like I said, I get really impressed with creators who go and interact with the community as much as Carlos has, and so that has given me a bias. Thankfully, only 2 people have done that, so I don't really think I have that much bias when it comes to manufacturers. But something like that instills in me probably a pseudo sense of I can't even think of the word right now because I've had all this espresso and I was dialing in before and everything. Probably a false sense of security in it, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that is a bias. I will admit that thoroughly. I get really impressed when people are as attentive on online forums as Carlos has been, as Vel has been from Zerno. And it's hard for me to not have confidence in something like this coming to fruition because it seems like they are perfectionists and they want to ensure that the nerdy community as well as the person at large are able to get this machine. It's going to be at high quality. It's going to be performing well. So anyway, that seriously is enough for me today. Thank you for tuning into my live. This is probably a format I will use more so in the future going with Kickstarters and stuff because I think it gives me more time to test things before Kickstarter dates are over. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm sorry I didn't get to do much interaction, but as I said, we didn't really have time to make a video, have it edited, and get it out before the Kickstarter was over. So I found this to be just the most kind of simplistic way of doing it. Anyway, that is it from us. I am very thankful, again, that you joined us. Thanks to everyone who contributed. And until next time, I hope that you brew something tasty. And cheers. South